Yo, it's Elut. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing a branded Synchro decklist update for January 2024, the first profile of the year for me. A little late, could have done it a few days earlier, but here we are anyways. A few little fun changes. The deck count has gone up a little bit, and I've gotten rid of a few existential crises that I was having with certain cards. So yeah, let's just get into it. We'll do the branded engine first, so, not really anything surprising. Also, new Quem mat, by the way. Quem is cool. Speaking of, 3 Quem, 3 Cartesia, and 3 Albaz. I thought about changing these ratios in a very minor way. Like, I considered putting Cartesia to, like, 2 or maybe even 1, because I was getting in the mindset of, well, between High Spirits and Mercurier and whatever, I see Cartesia so consistently anyways. But that's also true for, like, any other Albaz-related card. So that's not really a great reason. And she's not even bad to open with. She's a tuner and has a quick effect poly. So 3 of each, I think, is still good. And 3 Albaz is 3 Albaz. That's been talked about plenty by me and others. And then the one-ofs, the Shroudion and the Mercurier, I cut Kit. I swear to God, Kit is, like, good for my brain. It's, like, a very interesting and cool card, but half the time, it just feels bad. Like, a +0 is not very exciting, and I kind of just feel like I don't need it, honestly. I just kind of don't think I need it, really. So I cut it. I change my mind on her every 5 minutes, and right now, I'm not a fan of Kit. Per se. But these two are still great. I wouldn't cut either one of them pretty much ever. Even in branded Synchro, like Mercurier, I use way less for like the Albaz Fusion negate, and more so just as a search card, which is just as valuable, if not more valuable. And a quick note about this guy, just because I've gotten a couple comments recently that seemed upset that I call him Shroudion. It was like, by the way, it's the Shrouded Dragon. There's no Eon in his name. And it's just like just in case you don't know, that's my nickname for him. I call him Shroudion. It's a mix of Shroud and Albion, Shroudion, because it's shorter than saying main deck Albion or Albion the Shrouded Dragon. And if you just say Albion, you could be talking about 3 different cards. Yeah, just a disclaimer in case, you were confused about that, or if you're new here or whatever. But yeah, Shroudion's my dog. And then still 9 hand trap slots, being 3 Ash, 3 Veiler, I'm trying out Veiler, and 3 Imperm. Imperm is a pseudo board breaker, as well as a targeted negation. Ash is Ash. And Veiler I swapped out for the Nibiru's. I still like main decking Nibiru in this deck. I am just trying this out because I feel like Nibiru has been such a good main deck card for a while now, like at least a couple months. And it's just one of those things where, like, these cards are, like, always at the very least decent, whereas Nibiru, once people start to expect that everyone's main decking Nibiru, they play around Nibiru and then it sucks. So it's still in the side. This is still a light monster, which Nibiru fills that sort of niche as well. On top of the fact that if I have to hit something with a Bestial and I still need like an Imperm-like effect, I can still Veiler. This is also a light in the grave to banish for a Bestial, which Imperm does not do. And just, this doesn't really super matter, but this is a light spellcaster. So it is technically material for Sanctifier. Doesn't come up all that often. But this is just what I'm trying. Again, Nib could just very easily come back next week. You never know. I also have a feeling sometime in the pretty near future, Droll might even be one of those hand trap slots with all these fire decks running around. That remains to be seen. It's obviously like a mandatory side deck card in my opinion. But we'll see. For now, I'm just doing this. And then the Bestials, pretty similar. 3 Lubellion, of course. The 3 Saronir, second most important one. The 1 Mag, because there is 1 Mag. 2 Druis, and the Bestial Alibur. The only real change here is I cut down on 1 Bestial, being the 3rd Druis Worm or the 1 Baldrake. Bricking on Druis Worms, especially going first, is like not the greatest thing, but he's still a good card. He just fulfills a different role than the other ones, so I still like him and everything. He's still a level 6 body, he's still a dragon. That's all cool stuff. But I think this is fine for me personally right now. And Bestial Aliber is just Bestial Aliber things. And then this is a very small but very interesting 3-card engine that I've been fitting in here that I think is actually really fun. And that is the 1 Chaos Space, the Black Dragon Baby, and the White Dragon Baby. And I think part of this is, as I mentioned in the previous video to this one, I've been playing a lot of Dragon Link, and I hope to talk about Dragon Link on this channel. Don't worry, this channel won't become rebranded, or anything like that. I'm still a branded Andy, but Dragon Link's really fun. I want to talk about other decks at some point. But these guys are very interesting in this deck. They're all limited cards, so obviously we can only play 1 of each. Chaos Space is potentially another route to the Bestial Lubellion if you really want to see him. This is also some serious Ash bait, which is funny when we're also playing Branded Fusion. But more importantly, the reason I thought to add these and why I also like them is because it's not super intrusive. I don't need to see them every game. It's only like a small 3-card engine, like I said, but it's kind of cool when, like, let's say you don't open any big boy Bestials, but if you open like one of these and your Albaz monsters, you can lean a little bit more into the Link side of the deck rather than just like Seal Pass, or feel the pressure of activating Branded Fusion going first if you don't want to do that. And these guys just kind of give free advantage. You can shotgun Hieratic Seal if you would like, and then just do all your stuff from there. Going second, you can just get a free SP Little Knight to start off with these guys. That's also pretty easy to do. And they also have some very interesting interactions with triggering Quem on turn 1, which I feel like doesn't happen as often as it could in this deck. The only reason that really comes up when you're setting up going first is if you have Quem, a way to special Cartesia, and a Bestial. Then you can like reborn the Cartesia, make another Synchro 10 or something, or Fuse or whatever. But these guys add a little bit of an extra layer. I'll talk about it a little bit more at the end. I'll have like some kind of simple example if you're curious. But I think these cards are so cool, and I've been having a lot of fun with them. And like I said, they're not like super intrusive to the way the rest of the deck runs. And then the spells and traps beyond that, the 3 Branded Fusion, the 3 High Spirits. I cut Kit, so High Spirits back at 3. I just kind of made the decision that High Spirits is better than Kit, so, you know, here we are. The 1 red, the 1 white, the Regained, the Beast, and the Retribution. I've said this before, some people are cutting Beast and just playing the Regained. I like Beast way too much. I don't really even care too much if I draw it. It's a crazy card. It helps with a lot of things. So I'm still playing it. And then just a quick note about the Branded Fusion, because I've seen a few people talk about the idea of playing Branded Fusion at 1 in this deck. Because, I don't know, maybe they view it as like, well, it's searchable, and you don't want it getting in the way of your Synchro and Link plays. And I understand the philosophy behind that, but I feel like it's still worth playing at 3 because, 1, it's legal at 3, you know, like enjoy it while it lasts kind of thing, if they ever do decide to hit it. People always talk about that. But more importantly, I feel like the philosophy of Branded Fusion in the Synchro variant of the deck is not so much that it's your main play, and you also, I don't think, should think of it as getting in the way. To quote Nesh himself, the creator of the deck, the big brain fella that made this whole thing up, if you think of Branded Fusion as a board breaker, you will be happy to play it at 3 and to draw it when you need it. If you draw it and you don't need it, that's great. But it's not like you get to it as consistently in this deck, because it isn't the main sort of game plan. You're not just normal summon Aliber, branded opening for Aliber, that kind of stuff. So if you get interrupted pretty early on, there's always the threat of Branded Fusion, because you will draw it if you're playing it at 3. If you're playing it at 1, that means that you're kind of hoping to never see it. And a lot of times it's more correct to hit the branded fusion, especially going second, because not only is it a board breaker, quote unquote, but it is part of your engine. So it's still really good to play at 3, in my opinion, because if you get interrupted super early on, and you don't have like the 2 extra steps in order to search it after that, if you decide, oh wow, I would actually kind of like branded fusion right now, you might not even be able to get to it. And I think if you only play it at 1, then the threat of branded fusion is no longer really a threat. It's kind of empty. So yeah, just a quick little rant. I won't go any deeper than that, but I like it at 3. I think it's fine. But yeah, so that's the main deck. And then we're talking about the extra deck here. So Lynx first, the Striker Dragon, pretty mandatory. Seal, crazy card. Also basically mandatory in my opinion. The SP, and new little thing, IP Masquerena. Obviously this is not the real card. The funny part about IP is that I had an IP Masquerena, and it was sitting in my binder for months and months and months. And I was like, man, am I ever even going to use this card? Like, I can't play it in Despia. And pre-SP Little Knight, it also wasn't as good if you're not already playing a bunch of Link monsters. So I was thinking, like, I don't need it in Despia. I wouldn't play it in my dead Cyber Dragon deck. I can't play it in Hero. I can't play it in Trap Tricks, like, for any good reason. Again, pre-SP Little Knight. And even Red Dragon Archfiend, like, I didn't see a point when I was playing that for a little bit. And then I picked up Dragon Link after I traded away my IP Masquerena to a friend that wanted it, thinking I was never going to use it. And now I need the card again. So I'm waiting on this one in the mail. It is on its way. This is really nice because of things like the baby dragons and setting up an SP Little Knight on Summon Banish for your opponent's turn. So yeah, I think it's actually cool to run IP as well, because if you get like IP Seal Regained, it's like more of a control-y sort of board. It's actually very easy to do, especially when you have like the baby dragons in the rotation and stuff like that. But anyway, the fusions, 2 Albion, 1 Descend, 1 to make, pretty important. 1 Lubellion, if you even go into him, he's shuffling himself back, and or the game is almost over anyways, so it doesn't really matter. I go into him way less in this deck, even when activating Branded Fusion, because Albion normally just has so many other options than to just go into Lubellion, into Mirror Jade. So I don't really even see him all that much. I've thought about cutting him, just you know, the gut feeling of cutting Lubellion, but I know it's wrong and I will never do it. The 1 Mirror Jade, if you need the second one, you can technically recycle it, but at the same time, it's not the end-all be-all of this extra deck, so you don't need more than 1. You'd rather have space for other things, I think. The 1 Sanctifier, super underrated, super easy to make, especially with 3 Quests and 3 Cartesias, and now technically 3 Veilers with your Albazes and stuff like that. Super cool. He's your safety net for evenly matched, can't be targeted. He's a beater. He brings back some scary stuff if, you know, they were cleared off the board. Like, he can reborn like your Borreload Furiouses or your Despotters if, you know, they got rid of Regained or whatever. All that stuff is kind of cool. The 1 Rinbrum, his Grave Effect is still good. I don't think it comes up as often as it does in Despia, but it is still good. And more importantly, he is a high spirits target for when we draw a Mercourier, which is actually pretty huge. If you have Mercourier and a Bestial with high spirits, that's actually really, really nice. And if you don't play Rinbrum, you cannot reveal Mercourier, so won't cut him either. Titaniclad, because he is my GOAT, and I love him so much. I love this card maybe more than I should, to be honest. He's great. I think if I was like a Yu-Gi-Oh protagonist, he would be like my Dark Magician, my Stardust Dragon, etc., etc. I fucking love this card, dude. He'd be my ace monster. The 1 Granguinho, the 1 Borreload Furious. If you are not playing Borreload Furious, I think you're trolling, dude. That card is way too good. It's way too good with all the Dark Dragons that we play. And then the 2 Synchros, the Despotter, of course, and the Baronne, of course. I've been thinking maybe we shouldn't be calling this branded Synchro, because we only play 2 Synchros out of the 15 slots. And like, yeah, some builds play Lulu, but even still. So that's kind of funny. I don't know what else we'd call it, whatever. I think Nesh originally called it brandedless, so there was no Synchro in the name, but whatever. Anyway, not important. I've thought about, like, if I wanted another Synchro 10 in here, I could see something like Chaos Angel. I'm not paying for Chaos Angel at its current price. It's kind of interesting, but I also feel like if you're making a Synchro 10, then you kind of just want one of these instead, within the context of you also playing SP Little Knight. Because SP Little Knight does the on-summon banish, but it is way easier to make, and it does some, like, more important things after the fact. I've never really been too impressed by Chaos Angel's, like, lingering effects. I don't think it's, like, that scary of a card, generally speaking. So if you're just in it for the on-summon banish, I don't think it's worth. I would love to play Sword Soul Chengying, because I think that card is so cool and so funny, but I don't think it's, like, super worth or anything. So we're just playing these two, and they're both great for different things. Okay, so that is the deck profile. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. You know, hope you're having fun playing the deck. If you're new to it, I hope you try it out, because it is very, very cool. And then just a little thing at the end here. I'm going to get a few cards together, and I just want to show you some basic applications of why I'm playing, like, the Dragon Babies, the Chaos Space Babies, and the cool stuff that they can kind of do with Quem. Just in case you're curious or whatever. So just give me a sec, I'll get my cards together. Okay, so for this example, I'm gonna just start with Quem, the White Dragon Baby, and then Cartesia, and 2 blanks. And of course, this probably goes without saying, but if you don't have one of these two, you can obviously search the other through Branded in High Spirits if you drew that instead of one of these blanks, or Chaos Space gets you to whatever. It's just a basic example, you know, just to show you some things if you're curious or don't know or whatever. Because it's kind of cool. And Cartesia here could also be Albion the Shrouded Dragon. That also works as well. And like I said, High Spirits could get you to similar things. But like, let's say we just normal summon Quem as the first thing we do. And Quem can send an Albaz monster to the grave. So the White Dragon in our hand needs a dark monster to banish from the graveyard in order to summon itself. So we're going to send Mercurier to the grave, who is a dark monster. How convenient. Then we can just special the White Dragon by banishing Mercurier. Mercurier will now give us a search. So if Cartesia was Shroudion here instead, then you would just search the Cartesia. You know, works both ways. But here, off of Mercurier, we're going to search Shroudion. So then what we're going to do is we are going to Shroudion effect to send a Fallen of Albaz or a Branded Spell or Trap to the grave. And then he'll shuffle, or sorry, go to the bottom of the deck, not shuffle, and draw a card. So we will send Albaz to the graveyard for cost. He'll go back, we'll draw a blank. I'm just using imperms as blanks. So we have Cartesia and 3 blanks. We now also have Albaz in the graveyard. So we can special Cartesia due to that fact. Then, this is where it gets kind of interesting, in my opinion. We can link off the Wyver Burster for our Striker Dragon. And this gives us 2 trigger effects, because we have the White Dragon went from the field to the graveyard, so we can search the Black Dragon. And something left the extra deck, so Quem can reborn this Albaz, which is kind of cool. So we do both of those things. Albaz is reborn. We search the Black Dragon. And now we have an Albaz fusion technically set up. We have a Link monster already on the board. We have 4 cards in hand. And I'll just continue like the basic example. So we can like Black Dragon banish the White Dragon to summon itself. And then link these 2 off for Hieratic Seal. So we have Seal on board. And then we can Cartesia fuse using herself and the Albaz to go into Albion. And we are also kind of assuming here, I forgot to say it, that we didn't open any big boy Bystials. Which means it's going to be kind of weird to get to Regained and Beast and all that stuff. So if we Albion fuse here, we're going to banish the Cartesia and anything else except Albaz. We want to leave the Albaz in the graveyard. So let's say we banish Cartesia and the Black Dragon. And we go into Grand Yugioh. And then we have Granguigno's on summon effect to send something to the graveyard. So here we can send our Bestial Saronir. And then the Saronir effect, when he hits the grave, can send another Bestial. And we would like the Bestial Lubellion. We could just send the Bestial Lubellion here, but there's a reason I sent both, as you'll see in a second. From here, we can tribute Albion on field for the Bestial Lubellion in the graveyard. Activate Lubellion, which will place Regained in the back row. And then we can link off the Bestial Lubellion and Granguigno here for our proxy IP Masquerena. And then, again, we just still have 3 cards in hand. These could be anything, whatever it is, you can add that to whatever you do. So, we have 3 cards in hand. On end phase, we also have our Albion effect in the graveyard to set a branded spell trap. And the cool part about leaving Albaz in grave and having a Saronir in the grave is that Branded Beast and Branded in Red are both really solid options here. Branded in Red because, obviously, Albaz is in grave, so we can target him. And Beast is cool here because we sent Saronir to send Lubellion, whereas if we just sent Lubellion, we wouldn't be reborning anything off of Regained. But now we have a target for Regained's effect, so we could set Beast just to have a pop. Either one of these two is fine. I'll just put them both there. You know, that's kind of your choice. You could just add a Branded Fusion to hand, I guess, too, but anyways. And then on top of that, so what do we have on board? We have either a Bestial Dragon, whatever, pop, or a Branded in Red. I don't have to explain those two very deeply. We have the Seal Bounce, which will tribute itself and bring out a different Bestial. Probably in this scenario, it will be Magnemut or Druisworm. Either one is fine. If you wanted a search or if you wanted a 2-for-1 pop with Beast, either is cool. And whatever Bestial you bring out here can be used as link material with IP Masquerena. So you can quick effect whichever one and IP into the SP Little Knight for the on summon banish. And of course, after that, you also still have SP's quick effect. So that's really cool. If you summoned Druisworm off of Seal, obviously you'll get a search. And if you use Druisworm as link material with IP, then that's an SP banish and a Druisworm send to the graveyard, which is kind of cool. And then the last little piece here is, as we assumed, we had 3 cards in hand. These could be anything. You know, they could be junk. They could be whatever. We also left the Albaz in grave because even if we don't go for the Branded in Red line, Quem, if something leaves the extra deck, can reborn the Albaz, and we have cards in our hand to pitch for a fusion play. So we could easily pitch some junk card and go into our Mirror Jade. You know, whatever, Mirror Jade's cool. And if we do decide to do that, we can always send the second Albion to get the Branded Fusion for our second turn, or turn 3 of the game. So, you know, fun stuff. But that's sort of where I'm going with the whole, baby dragons with Quem. Just in case, you don't open any big Bestials, you can still kind of do a lot and go for a more control-oriented board. Leaving, a good number of cards in hand and all that. And I don't know, I think it's interesting. I think it's fun. But yeah, I think that's all I have to say for today. I'm going to start rambling if I don't stop now. But thank you for watching. Again, hope you enjoyed it. I will see you next time. Peace out. Take care.